Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maureen O'Connor from Quilters Heaven in Northbrook, Illinois, and I am the Opinionated Quilter. Today's episode, number 35, I'm going to share with you two quilts that I designed for the Northern Illinois Shop Hop. But before we get to that, let's get to my opinion. In my opinion, pinning is very important. As I've been watching videos, I feel like I'm the only person who pins anymore. I know a few people glue, but many videos that I watch, people don't pin, and I don't understand how their pieces meet up properly without pinning. So I'm using the Gilded Christmas Tree skirt from Krista Moser from last week to show you as an example. In her instructions, she has you not finish the center seam sewing the two halves together because that's where you're going to open it up and cut the circle in the center to make it into a tree skirt. I wanted to put mine on the long arm, so I couldn't have a totally open seam flapping in the wind. So I basted it shut with no pinning. So what happened when I didn't pin? My pieces did not meet up correctly. If you look here, you can see how off this is. Here's the tip of the green. They don't meet properly. Not acceptable. Down here, the two red star points don't meet properly. There's a gap. Not acceptable. Here's the edge of the center. The white triangles or background triangles don't meet properly to the center triangles. Not acceptable. If I had done this for real that it was going to stay shut, I would rip, repin, and try again. Now what happens when you do pin? What happens when you do pin? This is part of my next Gilded Christmas Tree skirt, and on these I've pinned. So what happens? This point meets this point perfectly. This seam here meets this seam here perfectly. Again, love it. Again, perfect. So let me show you how I pin to get these great results. In pinning, I start with a little bit thicker pin than I use to sew over on the sewing machine. And you can't see it because all these star points are red, but I've put this pin in where it comes right out at the tip of the star point. And then I take that pin and put it into the tip of the other star point. Those are the ones I need to meet perfectly. Now, next I take the pins I sew over, the 0.04 millimeter super thin, super sharp pins. I like the magic pins. And I just take a little bite into the fabric with my pin. And then I put another one in on the other side. And then I take my holder pin, the thicker pin, out. And then I go to the sewing machine. She's had you press these, Krista in her instructions has you press these in the proper directions so that this seam is pointing up. So I don't worry about pinning this one. I just go to the sewing machine, the feed dogs will do their work, push them together. I go to the sewing machine, I start sewing up here, come across here, hold these together again, they're in the right direction. This one is up, this one is down, feed dogs do its work, come, sew down and off. Now granted, these are all red, so if these didn't meet up properly, no one is really going to notice. So it would have to be pretty bad for me to rip it and redo it. If it's very close, I'm happy. Nobody will ever see since it's all the same fabric. Now where it really does matter is when you're putting the pieces together like I showed you on the last bulletin board. Here's one that the left side is already on, and now it's time Now it's time to put the right side all the way on. Now you need this intersection to meet this seam, this point to meet this seam, and then you'll have a perfect triangle. So how do we do that? The same way I just showed you. I take my fatter pin, and I don't measure this, I eyeball it at 1/4 of an inch. I come out through the seam, and then I go into the point. I don't know if you can see it, into the point of this triangle. Hold it, and then again, sew over pins, little bite on either side. I'm doing this, trying to do it a little faster than I would do it if I was actually doing to take over to the sewing machine. I match up my ends here. Since this is a pretty long stretch, I'll probably put in a pin or two here as well. And then again, I need to use my fat pin, and I go in 1/4 inch down here in this seam, and then I go right in. Now you should be able to see this, that this is the red tip on the silver, right at where it's supposed to meet. And again, my sew over pins. Pull out my fat pin, and then pin this to the end. And I might even put in another pin here, here, here. I want it all to stay perfectly even. I go to the sewing machine, sew and press as Krista has directed in her instructions, and this is what you get. You get really good intersections. Look at that. That's like perfect. So I really think pinning makes all the difference in the world as to the quality of your finished product. That's my opinion for today. Let's get to the episode. This quilt I called Illinois Winter. When we design quilts for the Northern Illinois Shop Hop, we incorporate that year's Illinois Shop Hop quilt block. It changes from year to year. And this is the block that was the Shop Hop block. So my Shop Hop block is 8 flying geese, a center square and a square, and 4 half square triangles. Super simple. I paired it with this block, which is a simple snowball block. My blocks are 9 inches square, which is a really easy size if you want to resize it. You could make it 6, you could make it 12. You could change the size very, very easily on this block. So here's a picture of it. You do have to make sure you orientate your half square triangles properly. In my example, they all finish to 3 inches square because it's a 9-inch square. When I say 9 inches, that's finished, not raw edge to raw edge. When I'm saying 3, it's finished, not raw edge to raw edge. So you've got 3 finished 4 half square triangles and 4 sets of 2 of the flying geese. So to make a 3-inch finished square with 2 flying geese, these each need to be 1.5 by 3. How do I get there? Deb Tucker, of course. So I used her square and a square tool for the center square. I used the Tucker trimmer for the half square triangles, and I used the wing clipper for the flying geese. So we've given these directions before in other videos. Deb has fantastic videos. You can always watch hers. This is a really easy quilt to make. I will have this pattern and the next one that I'm going to show you on my website as a downloadable PDF purchase. So look for that if you'd like to make this. And you can change the sizes by making different numbers of blocks. You can change the sizes by changing the size of the block. Use your imagination and go wild. Let's move on to the next one, which is a bit more complicated. The second quilt that I designed for the Northern Illinois Shop Hop I called Heaven in Ireland. And this pattern will also be available for purchase on my website. The link will be in the description below. We're pricing both of them at $5, so quite reasonable. But anyway, the difficulty in this pattern is that there's 3 different blocks with 3 different sizes. So let me go over the blocks first. Block A is this first block here, which is here. Now the Northern Illinois Shop Hop block, these were full quarter square triangle units. You can see I've cut them down. The second block, block B, is here, and this is a traditional double Irish chain alternate block. So that's here. The third block is the traditional Irish chain block, which is here. It's a 25 patch, 5 rows of 5, very traditional. Let's move over to the whiteboard and I'll go over everything. Like I said, there are 3 blocks. Block A is the block, and I know my drawing's terrible, but you'll be able to get the gist of it. Block A is 6 inches square. All the measurements are in the pattern. The only difficulty on this one, I shouldn't say difficulty, the only odd thing in this pattern is cutting down these quarter square triangles. You all know I hate to waste, but for me there was no other way to make it than to make a full quarter square triangle and trim it off. So I used, of course, Deb Tucker's regular Tucker trimmer to make quarter square triangles, hourglass unit. So I trimmed it normally, and here's an hourglass unit. And then I give you all the instructions in the pattern. I take a regular ruler and I cut off 3/4 of an inch on each side to get this funny looking unit here. And the effect of it is, it makes this little 9 patch in the center look like it's sitting on top of the quarter square triangle units. It kind of brings it to the forefront. So there's 4 of the quarter square triangle units trimmed down. There's a little tiny little 9 patch in the center, and then 4 squares on the corner. The rest of the blocks are pretty traditional. If you've made Irish chains, you've done this before. You have a block with a longer center, and in mine it's white, and then we have white here, and this navy here in the corners completes the chain from here. So this block is not square. It's 6 inches by 7.5 inches, again finished. It will be raw edge to raw edge, 6.5 by 8. Now the double Irish chain block is very traditional. If you've made this before, it takes 3 strip sets. You use 1 strip set in the center, and then these are the same strip set, and these are the same strip set. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 of your strip sets. And again, all the instructions will be in the pattern. But this block finishes 7.5 inches. It's 8 inches raw edge to raw edge. So when we put this together, the 6-inch side of this has to meet this block, and the 7.5-inch side of this equals this block. Let me switch out the whiteboards so you can see what I'm talking about. In order to put this quilt together, like I said, the 6-inch side of the B block has to meet the A block, and the 7.5-inch side of the B block has to meet the C block. So the first row is A, B, A, B, A. So it will be 6 inches tall. The 7 inches will be here. So the B block is vertical here. The white is vertical. The next row is B, C, B, C, B. And the 6-inch side of the the 7-inch side of the C block meets the B block above and meets the 7.5-inch side of the B block. Here now the B block has become horizontal. So the B block 6-inch meets the A, and the 7-inch side meets the C. Horizontal, 6-inch meets the A, 7.5-inch meets the C. And that's how you continue on for as many rows as you want. If you want to make this bigger, you can make more rows. You do want to leave it odd numbers. You wouldn't want to stop at a B. You want to start with an A and end with an A. You want to start with an A and end with an A at the bottom. So consider that if you're changing sizes. Just pay attention to the B's vertical in the odd rows up here, and the B is horizontal in the even rows down here, and you'll be fine. All the instructions are in the pattern, so if you'd like to make this spectacular quilt, go to my website. You can do that, or the link will be in the description below. So that's my quilt, or I should say my 2 quilts for the Northern Illinois Shop Hop. If you found value in the video today, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, happy quilting.